Hi, I'm Terri Murphy with the Women's Wisdom Network, Senior Editor for Realty Times, Women in Business, Women in Real Estate, and in the men's room. But we've got one that fits every category, and her name is Cathy Droz. She is a powerhouse, believe it or not, with automobiles. Yes, she has an academy, HER, which we're going to talk to her about in a minute, which is a certified seal that represents that dealerships are committed to her certified standards, which is selling cars to women. She's the author of Woman's Guide to Buying a Car with Confidence and Street Smarts. Don't let the high heels fool you. I love her attitude. She is enormously equipped with energy and passion for women and business. And we're going to talk about all of her amazing things, because what you'll learn from her is a new way to look at buying cars. Hey, Miss Cathy, welcome to Women's Wisdom Network.
Thank you, Terri. It's an honor. Thank you for asking me.
Well, Jack Arbour, who wrote This Little Piggy, who is our adorable eye candy. Did I say that out loud? Yeah,
you did.
He's so darn smart. And he wrote as a certified financial planner, again, about women networking with women, which is what we do, bringing resources to women in business and women in all categories, both personal and professional. And Jack gave us your name. And I'm reading your LinkedIn, which is amazing. And it talks about the book that you wrote, your certification program, your keynote speeches, your studio, your auto reviews, which I just saw one today on LinkedIn, 20 years in the business, and complaints about women car buying. How did you get started? Let's spill the beans, girl.
How I got started is probably, I fell into it in the sense that, and I say this certainly in my book, I have always enjoyed cars, but that is because my parents bought a new one every year, traded in the other one. And then my brother got into the business with a body shop. He's 10 years older than me. So I would sit in his shop, or I would sit in the garage with all his friends, and I'd be playing with my Barbies, and he would be working on vehicles with his friends. But I can remember, thinking to myself, why isn't Barbie working on the cars? I mean, what's the big deal here? Why is it always Ken? So my background really started in going with my dad each year, starting at age 10. He would go and purchase a vehicle. We are from New York. My dad was a little, in the beginning, a little unethical in how he was teaching me how to buy cars, because, I was going to Catholic school, and I couldn't believe that my dad was now kind of fibbing. Yes, fibbing. That's
well, but wait a minute. Let's think about his generation. I mean, that was perfectly a generational value that has since changed, but it gave you a beautiful insight. Keep going.
It did. The insight that it gave me was what Dad said was just listen. And he would go to the first dealership. And in those days, we're going back into the 60s, everything was extra: air conditioning, electric windows. So it was always an option. So my father would say, well, how much for the air conditioning? He would say, and how much for this? And he would write it all down. And then when we left, he would say to the gentleman, may I have your business card? They actually had them back in the 60s. I know, it's, my kids think it's like, what's a business card? Yeah. What? So we'd go into the car, and he would take that man's business card, and he would write down the prices of all those options and the vehicle, but it was always less than what the man said. So now we would go to the next dealership, and that man would quote him a different price. And my father would go, no, so-and-so down the street said I could have it for this. And I'm just sitting there playing with the pen on the man's table. But that was at age 10. What my father taught me, and I always kept in mind, said the most important part is always a win-win-win, 3 wins. He goes, he would always ask the salesman after the transaction was finished, he would say, did you make enough commission? Does this take care of your family? And when they said yes, then Dad was happy. And my father always maintained a relationship, took them to lunch, made things for them, Christmas gifts, stayed in touch with them and their families. Now, in those days, salesmen didn't change every day like our underwear. They remained for long periods of time. But I realized that it was all about making sure that everyone had a fair deal. But of course, I was aghast, and I took the good from everything Dad taught me, Every year we bought a different car. At age 17, I walked in and purchased the family vehicle by myself.
Whoa, 17.
17. I knew enough about title, insurance. I knew how to negotiate in the nicest way possible. I knew what, but I had also started doing storyboards for the family. I would put an easel, and in those days you had brochures. So I was cutting out pictures from brochures and saying, now, should we get the Le Mans or should we get the 98 Oldsmobile? And so I really went in with a lot of knowledge, which is what I say to women is knowledge is power. And the more that you know, then don't be afraid to go in and negotiate. So that's kind of my story. So at 17, Dad just came in and signed the check, and, you know, it continued that way. So most men asked me to go with them to buy a car.
And by the way, I know that that you're kind of a little fun size. So that's got to be fun to have a man want you to go with them to buy a car.
Right. But remember, I also have a New York attitude. So
yeah, you do. And you have the red stilettos, which is your signature. So that's also very attractive. I mean, it's really fun. The book, which tells your story of how you bought cars as a kid, but then it also talked about how to have women buy from you and then how to raise the CSI score. Talk about what that means.
Well, first of all, CSI is a term in automotive and probably some other industries, customer service index, which is basically Yelp on steroids. So the manufacturers of the vehicles depend on the high scores because it's customer satisfaction. It's how you would treat it. And therefore, a manufacturer actually judges that dealership. And sometimes the dealerships themselves will take money away from a bad CSI, which would be a report coming back from you, after you purchase a vehicle, you had a bad experience. Unfortunately, they would get them back. Mostly women fill them out. And that's what I based it on, was when a dealer would say to me, I don't understand why it seems to be mostly women are the ones that are giving us a low CSI score. So going from 0 to 10, men would, and I can tell you why, men would give an 8, 9, or a 10, and women would give a 0. And it would be based on customer service. So Porsche asked me to put together, they gave me some time and they said, can you get back to me in a week? Why, if a man and a woman have walked in, this is truth, into a Porsche store, the same dealership, they have the same salesperson, same time of day, they purchase the same vehicle and they are happy with the price, and that's how they leave the facility. Why does the man give a 10 and the woman give a 4? And I said, I don't need any time to go back to my desk. I said, the woman may have gone into the ladies' room and you were low on toilet paper, or there was no soap in the dispenser, or possibly they went over to have coffee if you did not serve it to them like you should. If you went over to have coffee and there was creamer there, that is what the woman is putting down as far as customer service and giving a low score. And this is true. I mean, research shows it, and I know it from speaking to hundreds of women as to what really bothers them. I have women will say, I gave a low score because the salesperson was lovely, and I know I got a great deal, and they went out of their way, but he smelled like smoke. So a lower score.
So it's experiential in a lot of
cases. It is.
And I knew that when I did some work with Mercedes-Benz, that, and of course it's regional, so I'm not saying because I love Mercedes-Benz, but what happened is a woman would walk in and she'd be like, hey, anybody want to help me? And in some cases, the woman felt devalued and she was there to buy a car. And so you wrote HER. Tell us about the HER certification and what it stands for.
What it stands for is, what I realized with all my research all these years, is what women really want is that salesperson or that dealership to be honest, which is the H, and then E, which would be having a great experience, customer service experience. And then the R is for respect. And number one has always come up as what women want when they go into a dealership to purchase a vehicle, is they want the respect from that salesperson and the whole community of their team there. And that was something that has been lacking for years. It was a complaint when I had an ad agency. My specialty was automotive dealerships. I was like the dealer whisperer because I really felt like I could understand certainly the manufacturer to the dealership level and then the consumer, which is what inspired me to write the book. Women always saying to me, I can't believe you have an office inside a car dealership. I can't believe that you can deal with these type of people. I mean, really, car dealers have said to me for years, they never told people at a cocktail party what they did, unless it was a certain group and they wanted to sell a car, but they, or their wives were embarrassed that they were. And I wanted to see that change. I did. I really have always wanted to see the automotive industry change, not so much that it's just that they treat women differently, which is obviously my objective, but to change what people think of auto dealers.
It's interesting having gotten inside of the dealership and understanding some of the mechanics of it. And it's unfair, some of the media advertising right now about cars and car sales. At the end of the day, everybody needs a vehicle of some kind, even with the walkability becoming one of the interests in using demographics and data aggregation to figure out how we're using cars. But cars are necessary because we are a very mobile society. And it's unfortunate that there was this negative cast. But you really came in and changed that. Tell us a little bit about what the program looks like. I mean, is it a 1 day? Is it an 8 week? Is it a 12-month? I mean, what's the actual program look like for certification?
For certain. So the her academy, which started out, everything I did was live, and it was not. It started out as a half-day program, and I would bring in a guest speaker. I fortunately did some volunteer work for the retired NFL of Arizona, and a few of them wound up writing books. And it's, how everything about what I learned being coached or what I learned on the football field. And I thought, oh, what fun, because I'd be dealing with mostly men. What fun to bring in a guest speaker to piggyback off of what I did with customer service. But what happened was the dealer, the general manager said, Cathy, you're going to have to do it in shifts. We're only going to give our guys an hour. So you're taking in shifts of people. I never felt it really went its full gamut, although it's PowerPoint. And like you, Terry, I have a kind of interesting sense of humor. So basically it was stand-up comedy, which is mostly enjoyed by, and being an older woman, we would have fun. But with obviously the internet being the way to do things, I turned it into a online program through Teachable. And therefore, it just, for me, I like to be in person. And
there's a beautiful dynamic when you're live. There's a whole energy exchange.
Absolutely.
There's a different challenge for the presenter because you're dealing with different behavioral styles and different values, different age groups, sometimes gender. So it's a bigger deal, but it's kind of you did it in shifts. The online program is also in shifts or in
no, the online is, here's your code to get in and you go through all of it. I've got a couple of, funny little quips or commercials in between, but it's not the same as me being there because kind of like Don Rickles, I would just pick people out of the audience once I knew their name and had more fun and we learned something.
Yeah, no, that I'm going to tell you, it's brilliant. Now you also are the co-founder of another whole entity, and we're going to talk about that. And that is the Women 360.
Yes.
Tell us how that developed and who does it impact and who's your target market?
Thanks, Terry. So her certified is based, certainly I'm trying to improve customer service for women in automotive, but that can apply to any business, quite honestly. I just found my niche because that was something I was very comfortable with and did very well. And I myself had never had a problem buying a car or even working with general managers in the automotive industry. So I felt like I could build confidence in women. So with knowing that building confidence in women, I say, if you can negotiate a car deal, you can get through anything in life. So I thought I need to educate women even further along than that. My girlfriend, Nancy, came to me one day and she said, here I am in the mortgage industry and I just want to educate more women and bring in more confidence, etc. She said, we should start a group because we both have the same thing, me with women, etc. So we came up the Women 360 and decided that we would make this a Facebook membership that would turn into live events and also would have a monthly lunch and learn. And this is right as COVID was taking on its grip into the everyone. So we have built up that community to 2,000 women in less than a year. And I would say probably 200 of them engage on a regular basis, which is good. We're setting up these different lunch and learns. We're able to get places to have those at no charge. They welcome us. And then for the auto industry, I have found and have done 2 of these educational seminars at auto dealerships, because I want women to be able to walk into an auto dealership and not have men, jumping on them in the parking lot and not asking them, if I get you into this vehicle today for this price, will it be out the door? And it was very successful. But I brought in women speakers that could talk about credit, real estate, mortgage. I brought in insurance, all women. And then I don't even think I talk about automotive. So we took it a step further and decided to have a keynote speaker. And this one that we have coming up in the end of October, we will have more of a celebrity type person will be the keynote. They are all the live ones are to raise funds for a particular nonprofit. That Nancy and I, that was our goal from the beginning. It has to benefit a nonprofit, our live ones.
And the nonprofit is education.
This one here, we've done it for Fresh Start, which is for women starting out again. Maybe they lost their home, divorced, etc. Fresh Start has helped them with that, including attorneys. This one is Soul Survivors Inc., INK, and it is a woman who started this 501c3 to help with the sex trafficking, tattoos. And Terry, it's very interesting, didn't even know it existed. But these pimps, so to speak, well, they brand these young ladies as, if they get them at age 12, that's the youngest that has been found. They brand them with a certain tattoo, which means you're mine, ours, etc. So when they finally have the means and the ways to get out of these cults, so to speak, this woman who has quite a business background, but has a tattoo business, she started to take the present tattoos and cover them up. So she'll make a flower out of something that was not before, and then help these girls get into, I want to say, a home until they can get back on their feet or find their parents, etc. So we are happy to do that. We're doing it at a Ford dealership. He is going to be sponsoring, as well as many other sponsors who want to help with that. But it's called Heels, because I got to keep myself in that. Heels,
Yes, you do.
And Heroes with HER and then OES. So there'll be always a hero that speaks. And then the celebrity is the horsepower person, but I don't want to say who it is until that's confirmed.
Yeah, of course. So you're an author, you're a speaker, you're a trainer, you're a leader for women. You're a voice in an industry that has been predominantly male dominated. And you do radio and podcast as well. I mean, you don't sleep. We all know that. But the thing is, you're making such a difference. And I want to support you in any way that Women's Wisdom Network can be, and I want to be able to share this with other women so they know there is a resource available out there, especially those places where they may not have heard of Her Certified and all of the work you're doing. I want to thank you for that. I want to know, you have to tell us a little bit, though, a little bit more about some of the other things that you're doing. I mean, obviously you're a consultant. I mean, that's got to help you connect in ways. I mean, so often, I'll just say this from my work with corporations, so often they'll ignore the tenets of the corporation, like you talked about, the cleaning staff. I mean, nobody ever recognizes the cleaning staff, and yet they're pivotal to your experience. I mean, it just totally is. And you talk about an ambassador, being an ambassador. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the ambassador part is actually being as I've said to you, as the grandmother of 9, I'm actually starting to get the grandchildren that actually can speak and not stutter. I'm getting them more involved in my videos, etc. I mean, Terri, at my age, I certainly let's talk business here for a second. It sounds like I've done a lot. I do a lot. And I work 24/7. I've worked since I'm 17 years old. I don't have a college education. So I'm used to working hard, and that probably keeps me mentally a little bit young, physically. I look at it as, you and I have talked about this. For me, it's leaving a legacy. I should be retired and I should be somewhere off on the, in the Bahamas on my private jets and so forth. But that's really not me. I like the work, and I'm not going to stop until I've completed what I want to do. Part of the ambassadorship is working with the literacy for children, and that's through Jack. I've gotten my
Jack Arbor.
Yes. Yeah. And I've gotten my 11-year-old. In fact, I will send you that video where she wrote it, directed herself, told me what to do, and then edited herself, including bloopers. And it is endorsing the book because she's read it, and she has a job. She works for my daughter and son-in-law's coffee shop. She knows how to make lattes. She's 11 years old. She is following in my footsteps.
No kidding. Is she wearing the red stilettos?
No, darn it, her mom won't let her, but every chance she gets, she's working on getting a coffee. I want to have my own brand, her certified. So she's working on her dad to get that to happen. So that the ambassadorship is really trying to promote literacy. As a grandma, I can get it out to my age group, so to speak, and she's working at it for her own age group.
So such a role model, because one of your keynotes is from spark plugs to Spanx, my favorite. And Sarah should be paying both of us because we probably invented them. The good news is that you're a force to be reckoned with, all 5 feet of you plus. And women need permission. They need to see how someone else has done it, not to copy them, but to be inspired by them. And that's what we do. If someone wants a copy of the book, tell us the best way to get that.
You know what? It's on Amazon. May I show it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so it's a woman's guide to buying a car with confidence and street smarts, and don't let these high heels fool you. And the original title was changed because they thought it was disrespectful. It was How to Buy a Car Without a Man. And I thought it was a pretty good title.
Yeah, I agree, but whatever, how publishers are. And then if somebody wanted to hire you for a keynote, I love from Spanx, from Spark.
Oh, it was for LifeLock. It was their corporate meeting. It was for LifeLock. And it was very interesting. They wanted me to explain to millennials that spark plugs do exist to this day, because I think they'd probably never heard of it. So of course I came from spark plugs. And of course I wore Spanx because I was wearing a tight dress. But yes. So
there is no life without coffee and Spanx, but and that's according to me. I just want to tell you that if you do launch that podcast series or host it, I definitely want to make sure that we have you visit us again for updates. As a leader, especially coming from an industry that was so dominantly not friendly or not user friendly, let's just put that, regardless of gender. But here you are helping us navigate buying a car, which everybody has to do at some point. And bless you for sharing your wisdom with us. What's the best way to contact you? Email, contact, phone?
I'm easy. Cathy with a C at hercertified.com. I'd love to hear from your beautiful network. And I do want to reciprocate by also getting all your information and the ability to network with your ladies out of the Women 360 or Her Certified.
That is a noble and it's such a noble way to help these young women who have gone through this horrendous situation. You can count me in. personally,
Good.
but all my BFFs at Women's Wisdom Network are right behind you. And do you have a page for that? Is it just women360.com?
We have one page because we had done an event. So the women360.com, you're absolutely right. We renamed our subtitle is Inspiring Entrepreneurial Women. It's almost like, Terri, you know the statistics, 43% of women, and I could be wrong on this, it could be men and women, after COVID have not gone back to work. They are now taking the knowledge. Maybe they were an accountant. They're now doing modules, teaching people how to keep books. So 43% of that workforce that normally is in a building has decided to become an entrepreneur or gone out on their own. So we have women contacting us saying, what do I do? Do I write a business plan, et cetera? So these are the kind of things we want to help them with.
Well, I know that that 360, the Women 360 organization, was really designed to inform and educate and both entertain, because that's the most fun.
Yes.
And the educational summits, I mean, they're all in Arizona because that's where you are?
They are, but we are putting so much of it on modules that it will be able to be shown to anyone else. Some of the things are live. We have a contest going on now where, you know, dinner with this celebrity guy, you know, dinner for 4 with him, and then an hour of coaching. Obviously, you have to be here in town, and maybe a, you know, big spa treatment. But other than that, we want, yeah. Although you can come to town, you don't need it, but
yeah,
I want that.
It's always a gimme to have a little extra then. And you know, I just did a whole program on why we take care of everyone, not ourselves. So the Women's Wisdom Network and Women 360 and Her Certified are all here to help you have a better life, be better informed. And yes, knowledge is power. It is not power over, but power with. So thank you for joining us, Cathy Droz, because I know that you have a legend of that will go beyond your knowing. And certainly your granddaughter, I'd love to meet her because she sounds to me like she is a mini you. Thanks for joining us. And I hope you'll join us again for another segment on the Women's Wisdom Network.